The best music for hard-working people. Get the job done with Radio.
And now your featured presentation.
Hey there, rockers! Welcome to Bands, the good, bad, and the ugly, with Dr. Dawg. On the show where we get real about the ups and downs of band life. Your host, Dr. Dawg, is locked and loaded. So let's do this.
Fuck you, Magpie. Fuck you.
I have to go along as yesterday.
Bonsoir.
It shouldn't be sold in this country because it would have a bad effect on children. Bad effect on children.
Moving so near, your face, my reflection. Your eyes, my guide. I beg your invitation. We're born of fire. We're born of fire. Closer, transmit your intention. Take eyes, disguise, to shock at all the nation. We're born of fire. We're born of fire. We're born of fire. Sounds of the wild.
Dr. Dawg here, welcoming you to Bands, the good, bad, and the ugly, bringing you the ins and outs, ups and downs of band life. So let's get to it, let's rock and roll.
The song you just heard was Night Trap by Nox Pulso. And Matt Duncan from Nox Pulso is the doctor's guest tonight. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Hey, Doc. Good to see you.
Great to see you guys. You guys doing
great.
good.
Hi to the folks listening and watching. And
Yeah.
thanks for coming.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys, because these guys are going to put on a fantastic interview. So, so Matt and Duncan, tell us a little bit about yourselves and Nox Pulso.
All right, I'm going to pass to Matt because we haven't first. Who answers which one first? So Matt, you go.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, so we've been doing Nox Pulso now for just about a little over a year, thereabouts. So we go back a long way, right, Dunk? I mean, must be over 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah, I think it's 25 years. We met in college when we were like 18, 19. So this will date us to the folks at home, but it's 25 years more or less. But this is the first time we actually, I think, sat down and made music together. We've been on stages at different concerts.
Yeah, because I think I remember seeing you doing a show. Because we were like, this area used to have like a pretty active music scene once upon a time. It's still got something going on, but not like it used to be back in, as you say, Dunk, because it's going to date us significantly, back in the 90s. And we would be doing shows, and like I'm pretty sure I supported you once or twice. I can't place it.
Yeah. So Doc, where we're from in the 90s, it had this little explosion of music, and the UK press, which is magazines like Kerrang, Metal Hammer, even to a certain extent, Headbangers Ball was coming down here. Vanessa Warwick, you bump into her at a show at the Astoria in London. And of course, when you're like 16, 18-year-old boy and you see Vanessa Warwick in the flesh, strange things happen in your nether regions. But like they were calling it the Seattle of the UK, this one little town that we're pretty much from, which is about 45 minutes outside of London, and nothing ever happens there. It's like suburban shit place. Nobody ever leaves that town. They just stay in that town forever. But suddenly, weirdly, there was this energy around music, and lots of bands were getting big label contracts. Columbia was sniffing around, Atlantic were around, and you got these bands that had pretty much like one-hit wonders, but were big for a moment in time. And neither my band or Matt's band at the time were that. We were like 3 levels below, like not the C list, the D, or maybe even the E list.
I think we're past letters, or we're into numbers.
Yeah, there's the E2.
Yeah, that sounds it.
We played like gigs with these bands and with each other, and we had mutual friends who were promoters and stuff like that. And I think actually the UK press did pay a bit of attention at the time, and they were quite kind in the way that the world's so different now, as you know, because podcasts and stuff, that wasn't a thing. It was like, if you're not in the magazine, if you're not printed, then you don't exist.
Yep.
So that's how we met. Around that time, we've been friends ever since, and we've gone to gigs together, but we've never actually sat down and written music together and seen what would happen. So that's basically how Nox Pulso sort of came to be.
Yeah. That's
impressive. That's really impressive. I mean, you don't have to worry about dating yourself, guys. I mean, the older musicians in a band, I feel that they have it more together. And a lot of guys are like, well, we're old, so your music's not right. So and remember, the doc always says this: is you're as old as you feel and you want to be. I mean, age is a number. That's all it is. So if we all look at numbers, we're going to die sooner than we should be dying. And you're going to quit your music a hell of a lot sooner than you would because, hey, I'm old. I can't do this anymore.
You're absolutely right, man. I mean, one of our heroes is Lemmy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Okay, he died too young, in my opinion. Yeah. But he was still kicking ass pretty much right up to. I mean, I saw him live. I've seen Motorhead maybe 3-4 times, and the last time I saw him, I think he was 63. Yeah. He was playing in Cornwall, which is like the toe at the end of the UK, literally like the farthest south down you can go there. There's a venue called the Eden Project, which is these massive space balloons, and they all light up,
Oh, no shit.
Motorhead came on and they played Orgasmatron. And every time I was like, please play Orgasmatron, please. And they finally did. And, you know, yeah, he still had the same energy and presence that he'd had every time I'd seen him, you know, in my time of going to gigs. So
I think also to your point, Doc, that it's sort of like a command which comes with age, right? I mean, like Lemmy, you know, the command. I mean, it was a commanding dude for sure, but like, there's an extra sort of gravity which comes with it.
You know, again, it's your mindset, and
right.
It all everybody's different, and everybody's going to have a different way to look at things. And you're right. You get to a certain age in the music industry, and your attitude changes in a way, and you do may become more, you know, commanding or demanding or set in the ways of this is the way it is, and not so flexible. It happens, you know.
Sure.
You know, Lemmy is a phenomenal, you know, musician. So, and he's Lemmy. Okay. That's all you can say. I mean, Lemmy's Lemmy, and he did what he did, and he had no regrets. You know, I didn't hear him apologizing too much. Did you, for shit he did? I didn't.
I can't think of a single time I heard him apologize, actually.
There you go. But
I also heard amazing advice from him. There's a great interview that me and Matt shared in our like WhatsApp chat a few months ago, and it comes up. I think we've shared it a couple of times over the decades, but we forget, you know, and then it gets reshared. And he's there, and he's reading readers' letters from fans, and this young kid is writing to him and says, "Lemmy, I'm a black kid, and I listen to rock and roll, but my dad thinks I'm a disgrace and that I shouldn't be doing this. What's your advice?" And then he looks at it, and then he says, "Actually, I'm going to write you a proper letter back." And then the fact that he's going to go sit there, take the time, scribble the thing, right? But then he gives a Lemmy kind of answer to it as well, which is like, "Go fuck you, tell them to go fuck themselves, kid." And then says like, "Look at Little Richard, look at Jimi Hendrix. They did right, didn't they?"
Yep.
And it's like, wow, that's super cool. But to give the off the cuff answer, but also to just have it in there to be like, this is obviously a troubled young lad, and I'm going to spend a bit more time putting energy in there. He could have just got on the tour bus and gone and fucked some groupies, I'm sure.
Right.
But he's doing.
Probably still did that.
I hope he did both.
Yeah, exactly. Time for both.
I think he did both. Believe me. I think knowing Lemmy, I don't know him personally, but the stories I hear about him and the guests I interview that know him and played with him, he was a phenomenal guy. And I think Lemmy also was a peacekeeper too within the band. And you know, again, Lemmy could be Lemmy, but also I think kept everybody else in line and knew that, hey, this isn't right. You're not going to do this. And so shake hands. I just did an interview with the band that said that he was scrapping with some other dude, and all of a sudden they heard somebody yelling, and it was Lemmy, and Lemmy said, "Stop it, you know, shake each other's hands and apologize." Oh, good catch, Duncan.
Man, I'm never normally that coordinated. I pulled this thing out for one of the tunes you're going to play later. It doesn't normally rest there. I thought I might have it as a prop. I'll put it back. We'll put it back.
That's okay. But at least you didn't get hit in the head with it, you know?
Yeah.
That was a good catch. So
the spirit of Lemmy.
See, that's right. Lemmy kept it from happening. So share with us, guys, any upcoming plans, releases, gig dates, locations, anything coming up for you guys?
Well, yeah. So the track you just heard, Night Trap, I'm not sure when this chat will be going out, but that is out on Friday, 8th of December, on all the usual digital places. There's also a video on YouTube that we're super proud of. We'd love to hear from you. Say anything you want on the social media. We generally respond, although we prefer it if people are nice to us.
Yeah.
We're fragile.
That's always the nicest thing when people are nice. But
sure.
You know, so any other things other than your release coming up that you guys see coming in the future?
Yeah, so we're actually this release is part of what we're kind of tentatively calling Nox Pulso 2. So next album on the way. which is kind of crazy because, you know, like we were saying before, that this started off as a bit of an experiment, really, to see how we'd get on writing music and what even that would look like. And had a lot of fun with the first album, so we're working on the next one. So got a few tracks kind of bubbling away, which are, you know, really cool, and like a collaboration, which is something which, once again, it's really exciting. And so definitely Night Trap is going to be, I say definitely, Dunk, I'm looking at you when I say this is kind of like the direction we're going in. It's
like a sort of a blueprint for the second record, Doc. And we'll send you some work in progress offline for your ears only. Because
I love your feedback.
I love it. I'd love to do that.
And then the other thing we're doing is we're playing some festival shows. We're booking up a few festival dates in 2024. We haven't managed to book outside of the UK yet. So if you're watching this and you want us to come somewhere a little further away, have love, we'll travel. But we're starting in February. There's a circuit of festivals in the UK called Hard Rock Hell. I've been going for like 20 years. I actually played one 15 years ago with. I'll do some name dropping. That's really vulgar, isn't it?
Yes, do it.
Twisted Sister were the headliner, I think.
Oh, sick, cool.
Yeah, they were great, man. They were great. Yeah. They had the Ward of Marshals, the amazing energy. So this is this Hard Rock Hell thing. It's like residential festival. I don't know what the equivalent would be, but they put it up in like holiday camps almost. So we're doing that. They're doing a goth/industrial one in February, and we're opening that, I think. So wish us luck. It's a big stage, and there's only two of us.
A lot of room to run around, Dunk.
Yeah,
cardio in.
Plenty of room to trip over, I would say.
We just seen you catch the little guitar thing, so you know.
You only get one bit of luck like that in it. And then
that was it.
We booked another one a little later in the summer again in the UK. So we're hoping a few more will start to fill out that schedule. There's people making inquiries and talking backwards and forwards. We don't have an agent, so we're terrible negotiators. And when it comes to so yeah, again, like if anybody's listening and wants us to play, we'll be easy victims. Just promise us a couple of biscuits and a cup of tea, and we'll be there.
Oh, that's
Don't
awesome.
give away our rider.
So a few live dates coming up, and hopefully the record number 2 will take shape. We're on like 4 out of 12, 4 out of 10 tunes kind of in the bag. So it's not even halfway there yet, but we're excited about it, and it is a progression. It's a legitimate progression from the first record to maybe a slightly more commercial rock vein, without being overly commercial.
Yeah, there's you say that, but there is that very the collaboration one is fierce. Anyway, so no, sorry, we're going aside, but yeah,
no, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah. I mean, I love that. I love the way you guys are talking back and forth about what your music and what you guys love the most. So that's phenomenal. So dropping at you now is Possession by Nox Pulso.
Machine gun, see him and come undone. She runs the table, she turns the guns. Her is razor blades.
freaking great song, guys. Great
Oh,
song.
thank you,
man.
Doc. By the way, I think all of the videos, all of the songs that we chucked at you, we've got videos for as well, so we can send you like the high quality
Yeah, if you want that
video
stuff.
versions if you want, if you prefer that for your show when you do the edit. Just let us know and
Totally
we'll
up
get
to
that
you.
over.
You know what? Send them in. I'll send them to Magpie and see what that
Okay.
fucker will do with them.
But seriously, as an aside, Doc, would love your feedback on the new stuff. So yeah, it'd be really cool to see what you think.
No, I'd love to hear it. And the doc's always honest because, you know, I figure at my
Yeah.
age and probably you're not my age, but at your age is you're used to hearing the shit. And you got to be honest with guys. I'm not going to sit there and blow smoke up your ass and say your guys
That's
are great.
it, Gary.
But
Yeah.
it's also one musician to another, right? So like, we'd love to, you know, would love to hear what your feedback. You get it, you know, you're in it. It'd be really great to hear what you got to say.
And I would love to, guys. I mean, I really would. I've listened to your stuff so far, and I would definitely love to hear what's coming up. So, so speaking of that, you know, bands are infamous, you know, for their antics and misbehavior. So, you know, each one of you guys I know have an answer to this question. So let me hear it.
Oh
I
man,
think-
yeah. Okay, so me and Matt talked about this, and we decided that the one we would tell you is one that I am deeply ashamed of. So, and also, it sounds so unbelievable that, like, hopefully people will just think this can't possibly be true, and then I don't need to be so embarrassed of it. Looking with hindsight at what a little Burke I was 20 years ago. So I've got one. We were playing a Kerrang night, which was kind of a big deal in Birmingham. So central Birmingham is like the home of heavy metal in the UK, where Sabbath are from, and Priest, and they have a big venue there called Sanctuary, which used to be an institution for the criminally insane, I think is the correct term.
Yeah, nicely put. Yeah, played around that.
So the dining hall is where you play the show. So they built a stage at one end of the dining hall, and then the dressing rooms are all cells. So there's no heating in these things, and they're like smallish rooms where you would have had a bed and no toilets, no plumbing. So we play the show with a support band, go back to our cell to hit the rider, and actually the rider was perfectly chilled because it's a cold night in England in a cell with no heating. So we had some nice cold beers, and I was really, I mean, after 2 or 3 beers, I normally need to go and take a leak, but it was cold, and the leak was a long walk, so I was holding it, and then I ended up basically taking an empty pint glass and just going in that. And it was so strange. It came out with like a frothy head, almost like
just bypassed
the middleman, you know, like my guts weren't even involved. And the guys in the band were pretty disgusted, but also kind of understood the pain. And I put it in one far corner, and we were like, that's piss corner. Nobody goes near that. And I knew that other guys in the band would also soon need to avail themselves of piss corner. I wasn't the only one that couldn't drink 3 pints of beer before needing a piss. And then this didn't happen all the time, but it occasionally happened. A couple of girls that had seen the gig had found their way backstage and found our cell. And so they came in, and they were both very pretty in their different ways, but one was a small one and one was a larger lady. So
nicely put there, Duncan.
Very tactful.
The smaller one.
The way I heard this story was much less tactful than this.
I think everybody's beautiful in their own ways, especially women that like rock and roll. They all have something about them. So the smaller one was sort of sat on my knee, and it was just about the time when phones had a camera on them. So I had a flip phone with a camera, and I was really into just taking photos as we were going around. So the bigger lady also had bigger chesticles, and I was encouraging the smaller one who was sat on my knee to explore that whilst practicing my photography skills.
We could draw a slate, mate.
Burst open, and a very angry young man walked in, and it turned out that the smaller one was his girlfriend. And so I was like, "Hey, look, I haven't touched them," which is true. I actually hadn't. Well, unless you count her sitting on my knee. And I said to him, "Look, you look like a bit of a dork. I bet you've never seen anything like this before. Why don't you sit down and enjoy the show and see where it goes?" And then the girls kissed, and the big one's tits were out, and he thought about his options for a minute, and then he thought, "Yeah, okay." And I said, "Why don't you grab a beer?" And he went to piss corner and took this full pint, looked at me in the eyes and went, "Is this your beer?" And I said, "Well, wait. Before I could get to stop, he'd gone halfway down it. And then you could see in his eyes, like, this isn't quite right. Something is bad. And he spat it out. And all of the guys in the band are like rolling and laughing. And I'm ashamed to say I was too. And the girlfriend was obviously looking at him like, what kind of guy am I with? And then he worked out that this is what it was. And I exited stage left at that point and got out of the venue. And as we went out, the bass player said to me, like, I was sort of bouncing along, all chippity, happy with myself. And the bass player said, "You reek of arrogance." And I still remember that, because I almost wrote a song and gave it that line, like, but he was right. And actually it was it's funny and as unbelievable as it is. It wouldn't happen now, it's the sort of thing that only happens in your 20s, when things are really crazy out there. Maybe it's a crazier world then too, I think. So I'm not proud of it, but I do appreciate that at least the good that comes of it is that people can laugh at me from that situation, and that I'm always pleased for. So that is our antics story for you, Duck.
That's a pretty good one, though, I have to admit. I was waiting for that ending. I was waiting. Something's going to come up. One of the chicks are going to drink it, or something's going to happen, because I know that, sitting in the corner looking like a beer, somebody's going to grab that thing and drink it. So,
and that's exactly what happened. But it couldn't have been an unluckier dude, I guess. But maybe his luck would have been reversed after that night. He might have.
But after he bursted in like that, and then he ended up doing that, I could see why you were jumping hippity hoppity up down the road. I would have been the same thing. I would have been smiling like ear to ear. So here's Nox Pulso with Bela Lugosi is Dead. Boom. So tell me about that song.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi's Dead. That was one of the first tunes which we did together. So it's obviously a cover of, well, I heard it being referred to as Free Bird for Goths, and I think it's pretty good sort of shout of it. Yeah, so Bauhaus, kind of important industrial band in the UK, and so we were like, once again, just trying to figure out how we play music together and how we produce and so on. And Bela Lugosi is just such a cool. It's such a cool song, and there's so much room to kind of mess around with it. And so we just try to, when we did that cover or remix, whatever you want to call it, just wanted to do it some sort of justice in some way, and just because it's such an important song to not just us, but like the whole kind of UK goth and industrial scene. And we really didn't want to tread on anyone's toes. We really didn't want to. We really put a lot of effort into that tune. Not that we don't in our other stuff, but just it's because it's someone else's song, and so you got to treat it with extra respect, I think, anyway. And so it's so much fun. Also, playing it live's great. It's like we kind of because it's such a dubby tune, I get to do quite a lot of extra stuff over top of it. It's I just love it, and I can say that because it ain't our tune. It's someone else's. I couldn't gush like this about one of our own, but so I just hope we did it justice.
You did a phenomenal job, guys. Don't ever question your quality and integrity that you put in a song, whether it's yours or somebody else's, because just talking so far, you guys have that integrity, and say, if we do something from somebody else, we're going to do it the best we can do it to show them honor and respect. And a lot of remakes out there, guys, I'll tell you what, should have been trashed, burnt, and whatever else you want to fucking say they had to do. They suck. That's just plain and simple. They suck. So reflecting back on your journey so far, okay, has being in a band changed your lives, shaped your identity as a musician, which I'm going to add this part, which led you guys back to forming Nox Pulso after being together for so many years? That's phenomenal. That really is. That's like a brotherhood, a bond, to be friends like that, and to be even closer for 25 years, 20 years, 15 years. That's incredible, because it doesn't happen. So tell the doc and the listeners, how has it changed your lives, and then has it shaped your identity?
Wow, great question, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it is literally a brotherhood, and I very much. Actually, I talk to Matt probably more than my own brother, actually, and prefer him. So it's one of those things, but. I mean, it does, of course, it's a part of who you are. And in a weird sort of way, you get slightly sort of shaped by the company that you keep.
Yep.
And so you better make good choices about that. Otherwise, you're going to end up being a dick.
Yeah.
And I see that with people that I think are dicks. And I know that they probably think I'm a dick too, but I see that as a win. Because if somebody like that thinks, oh, that guy's really cool, I want to be just like him. I'm obviously behaving in a terrible way and getting it completely wrong. So, I mean, as a sort of personal thing, I've often found Matt a calming force, because I'm quite sort of chaotic and will fly off the handle when things are going wrong and be like, but he kind of helps keep me on a straight and narrow a lot of the time. And that's been without music. He's probably had to learn a bit more about my mind since we made music together, which is unfortunate for him, I imagine.
Terrible.
Terrible. When you love someone as a brother, it's so easy, because you're not trying to argue with a bass player who wants to do something else because he actually wants to go and bang the chick out the back, and he doesn't really care about being in a band. Or like you said, Doc, and I often say that exact thing to Matt, do this thing like we do everything as best as we possibly can, whether it's talking to you right now or interacting with somebody online or making the tune or playing the show. And whatever the obstacles are, if we just do it the way we do everything, to the best of our possible ability, don't half-ass anything, then at least we're not in the grave going, you know what, maybe I could have just put a bit more effort in there, or maybe so I
think also, sorry Dan, I was just going to cut in there as well that, like, you know, it's also, I mean, really nice of you to say that stuff about me, man. You old,
I should tell you more.
No, but yes, it's like, in terms of how the music's kind of shaped our identity as well, quite obviously there's a big part of it that Dunk, you know, you're a metaler guy, really, you know, been writing, producing metaler for a huge length of time, whereas I've obviously been doing like the electronic stuff and, you know, drum and bass and you know, the synthwave bits and bobs. It's interesting how, like, our personalities kind of got shaped by doing that type of music as well, and that, like, we've had to learn, like, this strange kind of middle ground, just like how to make all that stuff kind of fit together. And that's definitely, you know, just kind of like understanding how that, like, those two things fit together.
And there's also a sting in the tail, Doc, which I think that if I was a young music fan and I was hearing about this band for the first time, heard that there's these two old guys and one was a metalhead and one was a dance music producer, and now they're making this stuff that's in the between, I'd be like, well, the metalhead must be trying to make everything heavy and the dance music guy must be trying to make everything dancey and commercial. Yep. It's actually the other way around. Matt is always pushing to make it heavier and darker and more evil, and I'm always going like, how about a major chord progression here? Maybe we could have some melody. Maybe there should be less distortion. And then it comes back and Matt's like, added an extra sawtooth wave with loads of distortion.
How about this? How about this, Duncan?
So it's literally the opposite of the way that you'd think those backstories work. And there's more to it than that, I think. But I think we'll get to that with one of your next questions at some point. But just so that people hold in the back of their minds, it's not he's the heavy guy with the guitars and he's the dancey guy. It's the other way around.
Well, no matter which way it is, it's phenomenal. So it just comes out great, guys. I mean, to have different genres blend in like that and can mesh, that's phenomenal in itself. And the fact that the way you guys feel about each other, me and my bandmate Vinny Rowe, same thing. And you know, I'll date myself kind of, but we've been together like say pre-80s. Okay.
Congratulations, that's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's,
you know what
really
I'm saying?
Cool.
He's my best mate. He's my best mate. He's my bud. He's my brother. And like you said before, you know, I love him more kind of than my own brother because of the connection we have with each other and the way that me and him kind of have a telepathic connection when we play. I mean, you know, back in the day, we played so many parties, just me and him, you know, guitar and drums, and just phenomenal. I mean, hours and hours at parties, just me and him jamming, and whatever he did, I could lead on, and whatever I was doing, he could pick up on, and there was no practice. There was no freaking, I mean, when you play that long, you run out of shit to play.
Dude, you just got that grit. I mean, drums and guitars, I mean, Pantera, obviously the kind of the poster child of the kind of the brothers of those guitar and drums kind of locking in that special way. It's incredible when you get that. So
it is. I'd cool. Curate to that as well, Matt.
Sure, yeah.
There is something about just two people doing it.
Right.
And no disrespect to I love bands with many members as well, and that's. But when there's just the two of you, you have to really both work quite hard to make to get it done, and you can't be like, nobody can be phoning it in.
Nope.
When you're playing that live and it's the two of you right there, and that's cool because I've been in bands where people do phone it in and it doesn't feel great, and it does make you think like. So there's something about that too. Yeah, exactly, Doc. Exactly.
It is, and I've believe me, you know, I've experienced that way too many times, more times than the doc wants to experience it, and it's disappointing. It's sometimes depressing, especially when you're up to play and you can't. So
you know, the songs are like your children, and
yep.
no mother or father wants people to just ignore their child and think that maybe we have a saying in the UK and Expression UK that one's got a face that only a mother could love. But damn it, I'm their mother.
He's still talking about me.
It took you a second there. It took you a second there, Matt, to figure out what he just said about you. So
we've been through a lot together, but it's okay. I don't know.
It's rock and roll looking to me there, Matt. So that's all I can say. If I had to pick
the miles.
If I had to pick who was the metal and who wasn't, I'd be picking Matt as the metal and Duncan as the other one. That's the way I would have looked at it. Just from how I just perceive it. And that's how Duncan, you were right. People perceive things, the book by the cover, and before reading it or listening to it, they judge it just because of who made it and how they look. Young or old, you know what I'm saying? And I see that a lot. And it's just like, fuck, who gives a shit? As long as the music is good, I don't care how old these guys are. You think I'm going to freaking look on the internet and try to find out how old this guy is? Shit, I like his music. Who gives a shit?
We came from I think we came from the age of going to the record store, leafing through the record store near me and Matt's called 101 Collectors Records, where we grew up as kids. And I got to give them a little shout out now because they're still going. Place. And you can go in there and leaf through the different genres, put the vinyl on the turntable, listen to the thing. Might not be able to afford it. I remember my first albums, I was saving up for weeks to get those things. But you're trading tapes with your friends and you're hearing new stuff. You're sitting by the radio with play and record. We're waiting for the tune to start and trying to capture it. And I didn't know what those bands looked like if there wasn't a picture of them inside the inlay.
Right.
I think it took me ages to understand what White Zombie looked like after their first record, 1992. But you couldn't really tell. It was kind of all psychedelic and stuff. Right. I loved the record. It took me, I think, a year to save up before I got around to getting that one. And when I got it, and actually, in fact, at this point, I'm on CDs rather than vinyls. But you get the thing, and one day you find out that the bass player is this hot girl. But that's not why I buy the records. Jesus Christ!
I like that one. I like that one a lot. The doc always spins vinyl. That's what I listen to. I don't listen to CD. CDs aren't around anymore. DVDs or Bluetooth. I spin my vinyl. So, and a lot of the artists are putting vinyl out, and I do support the artist. They'll say, well, we'll send you one. It's like, yeah, when I pay for it, because I want to support you guys. I could get a lot of free albums if I wanted, but I buy them, and sometimes they'll send me two. Give me one, and then I'll buy one. But
very cool.
I think supporting each other is the most important thing, and vinyl, DVD or CD, I should say DVD, CD, internet, whatever. They should be supported, and but that's phenomenal.
The thing about a lot of young bands, I think, or possibly this goes for older bands that aren't quite dialed in correctly, is that it's not a zero-sum game. If everybody gets more eyes on them and gets more exposure, that's good for everyone.
Yes.
It's not, I'm not there going, I can only listen to one new song this week as a fan. I get it's different if you're a DJ and people are bombarding you with music all the time. I understand that. I totally do. But if I'm a fan and there's 2 cool new songs out this week, I'm really happy with that. I'm not like, I have to choose.
Right.
I'm only going to listen to this.
I have the pizza and the pasta. Yeah.
Right. No, that's the thing. And that's one of the pluses. So, speaking of, albums and musicians and how they're putting stuff out, have you guys ever had to deal with creative differences in the band?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because like we're obviously so from like such different backgrounds and worked in it for such a long time that our main kind of battleground is bass and treble. That I'm pretty much only about bass. I love bass. It's the thing which it's my North Star is bass. Whereas Duncan, I happen to know that man, who's describing his record setup in the 90s. I know for a fact that dude inched down the bass on his EQ settings over there.
So, Doc, I had one of those early ghetto blaster things in the 90s. So 2 little speakers, a tape deck in the middle, and I was lucky. I managed to get one with a CD on the top. It took maybe like 5 years from my parents having a CD player and me going down when they were asleep. I used to get, well, I couldn't afford CDs, but there were CDs in the UK. We had libraries where they would actually get record albums. You could get them on CD format there, take them out for free, take them home and listen to them. So I had AC/DC had a very formative CD. It's a red double album of, I think it was called Hell's Bells Live. So it's a live record, double CD of that.
Yeah.
And I got that out from the library, but I had to wait till my mum and dad were asleep before I could actually go and use the CD player and then put headphones on and sit and listen to the thing. And by that point, you're like, this better be good, you know? But it is, hey, it's AC/DC live. It's good.
Right. That's good. That's good.
There was a 3-band EQ. I'm not sure if it had frequencies on it or if it just said bass, middle, treble, but bass was on the lowest setting, middle was on the lowest setting, and treble was on the highest setting.
Oh my god!
And that's how I listened to every record, and that's how I like it.
You're a black metal fan, aren't you?
I actually am a black metal fan.
Yeah, of course you are.
And but I also have terrible tinnitus now. So maybe if you're young and you haven't destroyed your hearing just yet and you're listening to this and you think, I wonder what Mayhem Freezing Moon sounds like, -10, -10, +10.
And this is it. And this is still the combat zone. And it's the thing, the difference is that, like, as you can probably tell by now, that we're cool. We're like, kind of done music for a little while, and we understand that, like, okay, what does this song need? Not what do I need or what Dunk needs. It's like, what does this particular track, what's kind of best for it? And we're both able to kind of get out of the way of that. However, it is often a fighting ground. Well, fighting's strong, but yeah, it can get, like, I'm always trying to, like, get more bass in. I guess the probably the one which we to and fro the most, I would say, Dunk, is probably Witch with that DX7 at the beginning, right? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah. I mean, the doc will know the DX7, but maybe the listeners might not. This is this FM synthesizer from the 80s that Yamaha bought and put out, and it's this bass sound that's on all of those records. And of course, like, we grew up with those records, so there's something about that in the back of our minds. This is like, mum's spaghetti. This is the thing that you have that you know is going to sound cool. And I don't own a DX7. I used to own a DX7, but that's a whole other story. But I've been wanting to get back to this DX7 bass sound. And me and Matt were having the usual sort of to and fro about bass on this tune, Witch. And then I played him a genuine DX7 bass sound of this 80s thing. I was like, what about this? And he went with it.
Yeah, because the thing is that, like, it's super cool. Like, I can once again, I can get out of the way of myself and be like, yeah, it's cool, but between. But
he did add sub bass underneath it over the entire thing.
So I took that because the DX7 sort of lives in kind of like, really, it's like mid and up. So I had all of that room low down. I was like, I'm going to put the biggest sub bass ever underneath. This DX7 is going to sound heavier than anyone else's DX7. And it's going to be, how the hell do you do that? It's like, well, it's got this sub bass roaring away underneath it. So
and it's clever as hell what he did. It tracks the pitch of the notes that it goes along. And so if you listen to it in a club with the subwoofers going, then suddenly it's like, oh, this, I didn't hear it like this before. So I would recommend for the folks at home, come and see it live, and you'll feel a thing. because the tracks live on the record, they're all mastered,
Yes.
so they are compressed, but live we dialed that right down, so you get the extra dynamics that don't really exist in modern music, in my old-fashioned opinion, quite as much.
No, I agree 100%. I do 100%. And speaking of the turntables, and speaking of the song Witch, here's spinning on the turntable right now is Witch by Nox Pulso. Dude, you couldn't have done it better. You just couldn't have done it better. That was awesome. Just
dude, your link was amazing.
Song.
That was cool.
It was just phenomenal. So, being in a band at times can bring criticism, negative feedback of the band or the music. So being in the industry as long as you guys have, how do you guys handle that? And this might be for some of the newer bands coming out that are real protective, too motherly over their music, and they don't like to hear any critiquing of the music. They just want to hear all the good stuff. And when somebody says something bad to them, they take it really, really hard. I mean, yeah, we don't like to hear bad stuff about our music. We don't want to hear that. But if you're talking to somebody that you can rely on to give you the feedback you want, honesty, right? You don't want to hear fluff all the time because they'll give it to you. Everybody will get, oh, that was the greatest fucking song I've ever heard in my life. But in their brain, they're thinking that sucked. That really sucked.
Sure.
So tell the doc, how do you guys handle that type of criticism or have handled it?
Are you going to take this one, Matt? Or
well, I mean, it's tricky. I mean, like I guess the first thing I should want to say about this is that, like, you know what? Like, actually, everything is kind of personal. It really is, and especially if you're like a creative person, you've got that kind of thing, that kind of urge, that fire inside you to make things. It is personal, and so there's no two ways about it. But there is detachment, which is important with that, and I think that like a critical part of that is when the criticism is from a quarter where it makes sense. So like, if a kid, if like an 8-year-old kid or something says, I think your jumper's shit or something like that, it's like, okay, where's this information coming? You don't go, listen here, kid, this is the best goddamn jump. It's like, right, where's this coming from? Whereas if it's coming from like a source or somebody who you think, actually, this person does kind of know their stuff and I should really take this on board, then it's like, okay, it's a little bit of detachment with it. I remember, once again, we mentioned Lemmy a lot here, but it's another Lemmy thing, which is was it Lemmy? No, it's not Lemmy. Someone mentioning it. I'm trying to place who it was, but somebody was saying that like they got a review of one of their tunes in like a popular sort of press thing at the time, and they had this image in their head that the character was a Lemmy-like character. That's why I'm kind of confusing it. Somebody who's like a real authority on music and stuff. When they finally like locked eyes on them, it's just like, this guy, what is this guy knowing about music? And so it's like providing the source. I think the source is an important part of it, as in where it's coming from, and how much stock you take in it. But like, Dunk, it's fair to say we had some internet kind of criticisms, which...
Man, yeah, I mean, I'll get to that in a second, but I want to give you a little, an old school story. So the doc may or may not know, there's a band from Wales here in the UK called Skindred, and I played with them a bunch when I was a kid with the original drummer, and they were signed to Sony BMG, which is Simon Cowell, this American Idol host, label. He was the A&R for them, and it was a big deal. They were a good band.
Still
and the drummer and the bass player quit in the first album cycle, and I saw them get a new bass player and drummer who were also fantastic. Sorry, not bass player, guitarist and drummer. Forgive me, Dan Pugsley. He was always the bass player in Skindred. It was the guitarist and the drummer. And I talked to the drummer for a very brief moment in a dressing room in London and asked him about the decision. And he was like, these guys in suits who are driving around in expensive cars are making decisions about my life when they can't even play a 4/4 beat on a drum kit. And that made so much sense to me that I think it's the same point Matt's making, which is, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. And if somebody says, well, your music's shit, or your trainers are rubbish, or you've got a dodgy haircut, well, I don't really give a flying fuck, because who are you? Unless you are somebody that's like, oh, actually, you're Vidal Sassoon and you're an expert on hair, and now I really could benefit from your help. You're Gordon Ramsay and you're going to teach me how to chop a carrot. That's cool. Or you've been playing the drums for 30 years and you know a lot of music and you hear a lot of music and you hear a lot of bands. Then I'd like to know what you have to say. Not to say that somebody that hasn't had that body of experience can't have an opinion, but the way they express it tends to be more accurate, direct to the point, useful, than if you're fresh out of the womb and you go, bald. And so
why did you pick bald, Duncan?
It was the Vidal Sassoon. I've just been in a shower. He's been washing my hair, actually. It's come out nice, hasn't it?
It looks great. Yeah, very jealous.
So how do you deal with criticism? Like, I think from both me and Matt. Number one would be, don't dismiss it, give it credence, and then decide whether you choose to accept it or not.
Yeah.
And if you choose not to accept it, don't give it a second thought. Don't keep a logbook of criticism, of stuff that you leap through. Imagine you've been married for 10 years and you get reminded about the time you left the toilet seat up in 1986 on May the 2nd when the mother-in-law was coming around.
It's a dark day.
Like, where does that go? Where does that go? So pick your enemies, pick your battles. However, I got to say, there was a time on YouTube we'd uploaded our first ever video. It was a song, I think it was Frontiers, which is like the first song on our album and the lead track on the EP. And we were really pleased with it. We were really excited about it. We didn't have any expectations, but we just wanted to put it on YouTube and do our best and do everything like we do everything. Do our best, engage with people, hope they like the music. But if they didn't, that's fine too. We can live with that. You know, I don't like everybody's music. That's cool. That's what makes it great. It'd be boring if we were all the same.
No, most definitely.
But the first comment we got was a guy going, "It's all right, I guess." And in English,
it's all right.
Like, "It's all right, I guess," literally means like, it's almost such a pointless comment in UK English that you shouldn't even say it. It's like, my dad used to say, if you're too thick to say anything clever, just say nothing, and then no one will figure you out.
Right.
If going like, the only feedback I have is, it was almost, we took it, or at least I took it. And you know, when I was saying Matt's a calming force in my life, I took it as a bit of an insult.
Yeah.
And we went like doxing the guy and finding out about him. And then we found his music. And then as soon as I found his music, I was like, oh, his opinion no longer matters because I've heard his music. And
we went for
it
like
wasn't great.
For a minute there, we went CSI Pulso for like a little while, just kind of, who is this guy? What does he know? And it's like, oh, okay.
And it wasn't even an insult. It wasn't like, you guys should put the guitars down and never touch them again. It wasn't like, just give up. It was just so weirdly mediocre. It was like lukewarm soup.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why? But often I've found this over the years, that there's a certain jealousy about musicians, and it comes down to the fact that they think it's a zero-sum game. They should be going, this is cool, I'm going to get in on this, talk to these guys, find out more about them. But instead they go, there's only so many listeners to go around. These guys are going to take my listeners.
Yes.
It will happen. My whole tribe will collapse. And so they hunker down on this, don't take my listeners. In order for you not to take my listeners, I'm going to say, it's all right, it's shit, it's whatever.
You're right.
And I think it's moronic. And humans are made to cooperate. We're pretty fragile animals. If you put us
special move.
In an ordinary situation, like, you know, out in the cold, I don't have that much hair. I'm not a grizzly bear. I'm going to die. I'm not going to be able to feed myself. I need to be able to talk to people and cooperate with them. And then once you get to talk and cooperate, then you can have fun and make art and tell stories and make music and see films and videos. And life's beautiful then. But not if you sit in a cave being grizzly and not communicating with everyone because you're scared that your precious 3 listeners are going to get stolen by these people that have just put out one track on YouTube that no one's going to listen to anyway. It's absolutely ludicrous.
It is. Right. And, you know, I'm going to ask you a question that I wasn't going to ask, but you brought it into it, Duncan, is how do you guys find the support from the other independent bands on the internet? Because I'm going to let you answer it first before I give the doctor's opinion on it.
Oh man, you tease. Give us the doctor's opinion first.
You want to hear mine first?
Loads.
You really want to hear mine first?
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit. I think that all these fucking bands that I do interviews with that tell me, oh, we're just a big family and we love each other and we support each other. Fucking bullshit. Okay, because if that was the case, then number one, when they had their shows, their interviews on my show, there would be a hell of a lot more listeners, number one, even though there's a good amount, but there would be a hell of a lot more. There'd be a lot more shares, loves, comments. Fuck. Most of the shares you look on these guys, at least on Facebook, that's one of them, they're mainly mine and Eminem and Magpies. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Okay, you guys are such a big family. You love each other so much and you support each other so much. Bullshit. Okay, I don't see it on my social medias. And I look through a hell of a lot of stuff. So, I'm going to let it go. I think you guys out there are full of shit when you tell me and anybody else that you guys are one big fucking happy family and you support each other and you share each other's music and all this other bullshit. Because like Duncan said, okay, you guys are afraid of taking your fan base. Maybe they'll like them better than you. Fuck, who cares? If they like them better than you, then that's the case. Why should you care really if they're going to steal my fan base? I can't give them my this, or I can't help them with that. It just,
I got to say, Doc, I agree with you, but also I'm going to add one thing, which is that if any band wants to steal Nox Pulso's one fan, then I think Jan, who is our one fan on YouTube, will probably enjoy the music and we'll check it out. So shout out to Jan if he watches.
To be frank, I would actually jealously defend that because he's great.
Keep your hands off Jan. Just leave us one. We just need one.
He's great. No, we go near him.
We're technically a young band in the sense that we're like a year and a half old and just starting to put music out and wonderfully people like yourself are paying attention. We're able to talk to you. We don't really get in a situation where bands necessarily buddy up with us, except that it does happen. Great gig we did a few months ago in London at Industrial Club here, led up by Fran, who's in a band called Eight Snake, and who just took a chance and put us on and was really supportive. And so it does happen, and they are out there. So I think probably your exposure to it, Doc, is a little bit more than ours at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that's very astute, Dunk, because Doc, you're going to be on the receiving end of a lot more noise and traffic than we are because of just our relative positions on the on this particular road. Yeah, we're completely at the beginning, and so we are, because of our early positioning here, that we are lucky that we're not getting inundated with lots of support, but the support we do get is from amazing people like yourself and Dunk. Kudos to you for pointing out Fran and also Memoria, which we supported that night. They were lovely, and so I think maybe it could be also a position thing, because as Doc, because you're that far ahead of us, and you're going to be on the receiving end of a lot more kind of, to be frank, horseshit than us, and because the traffic which we're going to get is
well,
I'm sorry, our fan base isn't going to be boosting your view much.
I probably just pissed off a lot of my fan base, but I don't give a shit.
Dude, no way, they'll love it.
I don't think so. I'd like the honesty. I think that's the cool thing.
Dude, you only got integrity. That's it.
If like I say, if I say something, it's because I mean it and I want to say it. If I don't, I won't say anything. Just like you were saying about Duncan, about your dad. It's almost like if you don't have anything good to say, then don't say it all. Well, I'll say either good, bad, or shit. But if I don't have anything to say, then I'm not going to say it. But that subject just rubs me raw. It really does.
No, I think my dad was wrong about that, because I think it's okay to say, if someone asks your opinion, you say, well, actually, I don't like this, or I do like this. My dad was a very sort of stoic, tough character. He wasn't a man to be trifled with in that sort of way. But I would like to think that I'm a little bit softer. My mum was a bit of an artist hippie. Actually, hopefully she'll never see this, but this tattoo is one of her drawings that I found in my apartment that she'd drawn in 1978.
That's cool.
And so I got it put on my arm. Although she's sort of a hippie kind of artist, she's quite anti tattoos.
Yeah, every now and again, tattoo.
Yeah,
but I think if she saw that one, she saw that one, she'd love it. She really would. But it's just, I don't know. It's just about honesty, plain and simple. Sure, no matter what you're asked, your opinion is your opinion. Nobody can say anything about it, and that's the doctor's opinion. So. It has nothing to do with Nox Pulso. Their opinion, that was fully doctor's opinion. And if you think I'm wrong, then prove me wrong. Okay. Let me see.
At least half of Nox Pulso are completely endorsing the doctor's opinion. Honesty is the best policy.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah. But maybe know what I said about the family and the support and all the other shit. But I believe it's true. I do. Yeah. I if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be saying it on the air.
Sure.
I wouldn't do it. But I'm saying it, and I hate to take up the time to say it, but it needs to be done. Not talked about. We need to support each other more. And what I hear is that, yeah, you guys have support when you guys play with a band. When you're playing with other bands, oh, we got along great, blah. That's the support. That's all that's out there. What about the internet? What about all the social medias? Okay.
Yeah.
That's you don't have that connection with the fucking people, and they are huddling down and going into that cave and saying we're going to protect ourselves and our music, but yet we'll say that we're a big loving family. And if I'm wrong, guys, show it to me. Prove it to the doctor that I'm wrong. Show me the fucking support that you're giving each other, and I'll apologize 100%. I'll say I was wrong to say what I did, and I apologize. But until that point, show me, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think you're pretty safe in that opinion.
Yeah, your money's safe, Doc.
Sour note, I guess, from the doctor. Here's Nox Pulso with Frontiers. Great track, guys. Great track.
Thank you, Doug. Yeah, you made a really interesting point there, man. I mean, we're too young, and also we're too young as a band, and we're too old as humans to be really good at social media. I think, we see some of the young ones, and they're fucking. Excuse me.
No, you can say it, dude. Remember, you can say whatever.
They're just excellent at doing that. And me and Matt, I'll put Matt's words in my mouth.
Thanks. You mouth it and I'll say it.
we're just like we're just a bit shy to be like, hey, listen to this. I've got friends that are really, really good at it in the industry, and me and Matt have mutual friends that are really, really good at it, that have got high ranking podcasts, and they're always the expression over here is blowing their own trumpet, and every time I see them do it, I cringe, and I just think I can't do that. I just want to make songs. I don't want to do this bit of the thing, but it's a real part of the thing.
It is.
But it's a skill, though. It is like being able to do that. It's like, I mean, whether it's a skill or not, which you kind of you have yourself or won't even harbor, that's a separate issue there. But like, yeah, as I guess to your point there, Dunk, that the social media thing is kind of a game. I still think it's not zero sum. Like to Doc's point, I think, Doc, that like it's not, you can reach out and help each other out and be supportive, and that is kind of like a choice to kind of be supportive and not, and like, why would you choose to not be supportive? That's crazy. But there, there is a kind of like the social media skill and that kind of like the ability to be able to put like whatever part of, to put something forward in some sort of way. It's a skill. As I don't think we've got it done.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a skill we haven't got. And yeah, we are good at some things, but that's not.
I'm waiting to find out what.
But when the doctor dated himself, I had back in the day, call my friends or my girlfriends. I use a rotary or a push button phone. Okay,
yeah.
So cool. That tells you, right?
Yeah, it's a strange sort of thing. Like I think it's probably just a misnomer that social media isn't actually that social. It's something else. And it kind of, maybe once upon a time it was, and it was about sharing pictures of cats and whatever, but like, your dog being knocked unconscious with a garden swing or something. But what it is now is kind of like some sort of like a promotional device for, and like, so whether if you're going for a job or something, they're going to look at your social media stuff and things like that. So it's kind of like a weird rolling resume about your personality, and whether you're going to be assassinated by it or supported by it. It's strange. And so
to put it to music, Doc, when we first started looking for gigs 20 years ago, I could talk to a venue and ask for a gig and be welcomed in, paid the money, the kids would turn up, the t-shirts would go out of the door, everyone would leave happy.
Yes.
This time round, we're like, again, we don't have an agent, so I can't totally say it's exactly what it was, but we were looking for gigs and no one would give us a gig. Fran, the Lava Club in London, were the first place of like, yeah, we really like what you're doing. We've listened to what you're doing and we really like it. And please come and play at this thing. This is the deal. Off you go. It took ages just to get that traction, because there was a dichotomy between me and Matt, which is that I've never liked playing live. And Matt, when we started doing this, really wanted to play live, I think. Whereas I like sitting and moving faders and playing guitar and listening and tweaking. I just like being in the studio and writing songs. But I was willing to do it because, I love him and he wanted to do it. So you make compromises in your relationships.
Yes.
If they're going to be successful. And I really actually loved playing live with Matt. It was a completely different experience to playing live with previous bands. So as soon as that happened, it's like, oh, right. It's like that's what being married should have been like before then. And then because it's easy and you just play. But it was so difficult just to get somebody to say, come and play. We'll get you an audience. And so we'll never forget those people that gave us those breaks, you know? But it's incredibly different landscape, I think, when you're saying, we like playing live, we want to play live. Here we are, come and get us. Have love, we'll travel. Even have mild interest, we'll travel.
Yeah. It's a different breed out there, guys. You got a lot. I got a lot of bands that I talk to that are just booked solid for gigs, and I got other ones that are just like, they have phenomenal music, but they're having issues of getting venues to let them play. And
this comes back to the social media thing, Doc, which is our social media numbers. Certainly at the time of talking to you, maybe it will change, but they're pretty naff. Like we try to engage with people when they communicate with us on social media, but we've got low numbers. We've got low listens on Spotify. The people that like the music love the music, and they do crazy things. Like on Bandcamp, they'll pay like 5 times the price of a regular EP, even though we price it at $0 because we just want people to hear the music, and that's fine for us. But they'll like throw money towards it. So the people that love it are like in love with it. But what happens is we approach people, if we're booking for ourselves, we say, hey, this is what we're doing. I guess they look at our numbers. They go to Spotify, they look at YouTube, whatever it might be, 1,000 plays here, 1,000 listens there, and it's not enough. Whereas the people that are really good at making sure that they get those numbers up high, get their numbers up high, and then they get booked.
Yeah. So we had this conversation, right, when it comes to like venue stuff. So in a different incarnation, so doing my drum and bass stuff, that like I was talking to a venue, local venue, good place, cool place, and they're sort of saying, so I was going to do a like drum and bass set there or something, and they were like, yeah, what's your social media numbers like? And I cocked up by being honest and good, fuck it, it's like the right play, by saying, I think that a local venue being interested in social media numbers is as dumb as you being as interested in my blood count, because it's like it's a total irrelevant metric for a local venue, because as it goes, I do mixes for very, very, very popular YouTube stations.
I'm going to save your blushes, Matt. So Doc, just so you know, his mixes get 1 million views on YouTube under another radius.
But the thing is that
he's not going to tell this venue that, because it would be a kind of a douchey thing to say.
But also, moreover, that it's also just it's a stupid thing to say, because like, so what? So like, okay, so I could say to them, okay, there's this mix which has got 700,000 listens, and what does that mean for you here in this town? It's like nothing. Like, so worldwide there's 8 billion people.
Yep.
In this town, like how many of those 700,000 people live in this town? It's a completely ridiculous metric. And like, I get why it's there, because if you're going to be going to your boss and saying, hey, look, we're going to put this band on and they've got 600,000 people listening to them, the boss is going to be like, that's great.
Yep.
Now those 600,000 people could be in Korea, and you may not be, maybe not be able to sell a single t-shirt there, let alone, some beer or something. But the thing is that like something weird happened where numbers and things became
relevant.
They became like the thing of like how worthy something is. That's a huge mistake because like some of the most important music perhaps ever was printed on really low numbers of vinyl and stuff.
Yes.
And it wasn't printed on low numbers because they were like, oh, eventually this is going to be worth a couple of grand on a weird thing called eBay, which doesn't even exist now. It's just that someone took a chance at some point. And so that something went wrong. Now, like, is this sour grapes? It could be completely seen as that. But as it goes, like Duncan and I are really lucky enough that we don't need to rely on any of this for like our livelihoods. And also the people which do listen to it are into it. And that's really all we give a flying fuck about.
Yep.
Because it's like, if one other person likes it, and as it goes, only one other person does, then it's a success. It's 100%.
Thanks, Dad.
It's 100% more people than we have any right to demand to listen to whatever we're doing. And I couldn't be more thankful for them.
I agree, Matt. And it's a cliche that we make it, you're a musician, so you make it for yourself. I've told Matt this before, but the truth is I don't make it for myself. When I'm doing the stuff, and it's pretty much in this setup, I sit here, I've got my guitar or whatever, and I work on it. I actually sit there and think, shit, how am I going to impress Matt? I've got to do something now. So that he's like, oh, this is
piss in
good,
a cup and get someone to drink it.
Yeah, right? I mean,
but see, it's the music that drives you guys. It's the music that brings you guys together, and it's the music that you guys produce and come up with that wants the other one to be impressed or saying, oh man, that was great. That's great what you did. You guys want to bounce that off of each other. You want to hear that, if it's there. And as far as putting out the music, I always looked at it as, if we did the best we could do in the studio at that time, and the song is the best that we could do at that time, then I'm happy. So and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But I know in my heart and my mind that it was a great track, period. And that's all you can walk away with when you produce music nowadays. And is that not everybody's going to like it. And the fucked up thing with all this social media and all these platforms is that unless they know Nox Pulso, they're not going to find you. There's too many fucking shitheads out there with shitty songs, shitty bands that are taking up the room. And I don't care, even if you pay for promotion. The biggest questions when I was doing promotion for our band was, when are we played? How many times are we played? How many days are we played? What's the rotation? Most of them didn't give me shit answers. They take your money and they go. So even if you pay for promotion, you're not guaranteed, I'm going to be every day for a month. You're not guaranteed any of that. And so again, what I always tell bands, if people don't know of you, it's hard to find you. You could be the best band in the world, but if they don't know your name on social media today and all the music platforms out there, if they don't know your name or come across you just by accident, they'll never hear your music. And that's the saddest thing of all.
I agree, Doc. And, like, we make music. First of all, I make music to impress Matt. And second of all, I make music so that people will hear how great Matt is when they hear the music that we're doing. That's the way I see it. So if there's not an audience for it, that pisses me off, because they should be hearing what he's capable of. That's what's in the back of my mind. Yep. It's not really actually about me, although I'm talking a lot, and you would imagine that as the vocalist guitarist, oh, it's all about me. But I feel like I've done my time with it. And like me and Matt, we're both in the same situation. We don't need the kid to download our record or the A&R guy to come along and go, boys, I'm going to make you a star. Now suck this.
Right.
So that doesn't matter so much. But nevertheless, we have to do the best we possibly can with that circumstance.
Exactly.
To do it. Now, as it goes, I teach young sound engineers at college, And some of them occasionally will dox me and find out my history, or some of them might even see this. And so then it's a different game, because then I need to make sure that the shit we're producing actually sounds good, right? Because otherwise, like, you don't go to a personal trainer that doesn't have a six-pack.
Yeah.
Because how does that dude know what's going on? So there's an additional pressure when you put your head above the parapet. That's a head above a parapet for viewers at home.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a universal symbol for it, Doug.
Above the parapet. Definitely in France.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Then you have to make sure that you can do the thing and it sounds as it should sound.
Yes.
But I think the old cliche of like, well, I just make it for myself. Sure, I don't just make it for myself. I make it for Matt, but I also want it to be good, and I also want people to like it, and that is a challenge. But it's not that hard. But then what's heartbreaking is if you hear something that honestly isn't good, and it's just flying. And trying to reconcile that. Like when I was 15, 16, leafing through 101 collectors records, why is this one flying off the shelf when that one isn't? And I think both me and Matt are sort of analytical people. We'll sit there and look at that and go, well, okay, why is this? What are they doing? What are they doing to get eyes on them? I don't want to change the sound that we make. All I want is eyes on it. Actually, I don't give a fuck about the eyes. I'd like the ears
on it. Yeah. Well, you know how they did it is they were paid. They were paid radio stations, DJs to play the music over and over, and that's how it gets out.
I got to say, there's a great. I know we've mentioned him far too much, but there's a great Lemmy line, which is. If you had to get your hands on a beautiful woman, I bet you had to use a MasterCard. And if that's how you have to win, okay. But me and Matt don't have a MasterCard.
But it still happens.
Spent on beautiful women.
It's happening though. A lot of the FM stations and DJs are they get perks. I'll say, I'm not going to say anything more than that. They'll get perks. To play your music in rotation. And I know here, and I say this all the time, it's like, fuck, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, certain times of the day, same fucking music. It's like, you guys ever change your tracks? I mean, it's the same shit, same high, mainstream bands, old shit, over and over and over and over again. And that's the way they sold albums. That's the way they got their fan base. Because how would you know to go buy an album if you didn't hear it on the radio? And
they did it here in the UK. It used to be called a media deal. So you buy a media deal. Columbia would get you a media deal with Kerrang, and then you'd be guaranteed to have your name on the cover of Kerrang X number of times over that 12 months. One cover feature, one double page spread. And so I guess it's an old-fashioned tit for tat. I don't know what exactly the expression would be, but if you have to, the Beatles said it right. Money can't buy me love.
Yep.
But a fully furnished flat and a record deal could get me a passable stimulation from a few of the call girls around the corner. I think that's the lyric.
Wise cat. I can't remember what lyric that's in though.
It's a maze, guys. It really is. And just know that the Doctor, MM Radio, Magpie Sally, we'll promote you guys as much as we can. You post it, you send it to the Doctor. I'll post it. We'll repost it and post it and post it and post it, because that's what I do, because I believe in my bands. I believe in you guys. I believe in your music, and I promote. And that was one of my comments when I said about the shitty community that I don't believe in, is that I look at the shares and I've got like 6 out of 8 are mine. It's like, well, what the hell? Come on, guys, give me a freaking break.
But don't expect any great shares from ours. Our audience are like
the We'll change that, guys. We'll change that. We'll change
I really
that.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit after we get done with this. But we'll definitely change that. But I want the listeners to headbang to this one by Nox Pulso, which is called Hunger. Fucking love that one. Love that one. All right, guys. We covered some good topics tonight, guys. I really appreciate that. So
yeah, it's been fun.
So give our listeners the information of where to find your music, guys, your videos, your live performances, when they're coming up, any merchandise that you guys might have out there. And I'm going to tell you guys, you better listen up, because you do not want to forget or miss out on this band, because they're phenomenal. So tell us, guys, where can we find you?
Go on, Doc. You're better at the specifics than I am, surely.
All right.
Put you under the bus.
As you wish. As you wish. So first of all, Doc, thank you. Second of all, noxpulso.com has all of the links. Every single link you need, whether it's Songkick, Bandcamp, YouTube, Twitter, X. I'm so sorry, Elon. X, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff is on noxpulso.com. Second of all, if you want to help us as a band, it's Bandcamp. So Nox Pulso Bandcamp, you'll find that on there. We get a bigger cut of that money and we are spending it wisely. I am personally looking at some new teeth. So
need to do the bathroom in this place. It's
Nox Pulso Bandcamp is the real place to find us. The place we're most interactive is probably Instagram and YouTube. Again, it's Nox Pulso on both of those. And if you want to buy merch, we've only just figured out how to sell merch online. And
it's a new thing.
27 years of my life, Doc, figure that out. So you can go on to Spotify and buy merch, and you can get your hoodie, your t-shirt, different colors, sizes. You can also go on to the Bandcamp page or the noxpulso.com page. And because we're not doing this for money, we just want you to have the t-shirt or the hoodie. We've tried to make it the same price, whatever t-shirt, hoodie, whatever you buy. That's cool. In old money, with British English money, it's 20 quid for a t-shirt, 20 pounds for a t-shirt, and it should be about 25.
Yeah, about 25 bucks. Yep.
For a t-shirt, regardless of whether you're big, you're small, you've got the back print, you've made it red, yellow, whatever. The same for the hoodies, and the hoodies also have the zip or the prison hoodies, as I call them. And they come over. So you can get all of that in UK money. The hoodies are 40, and again, like the equivalent in US money. So we tried to just keep it straight down the line. We make in profit something like $1 if you're really small and you get the back print, up to about 27 cents if you're massive and get the back print. We just want you to have the thing. So it's not about like making the cash out of you, but we love you for buying the thing and thank you for supporting it. So that's the place to find it all. And
thank you already to those guys who have come with, like we're sort of kind of, I think maybe there's a danger of coming across as ungrateful for the people which are listening to us already. And like, that's amazing. I can't thank them enough, because it's really weird to like, and it's incredibly humbling to think that somebody would take the time to listen to what we're doing. And yourself, Doc, I mean, once Duncan's already said thank you from me as well, a huge thank you, because it's very odd. Like you sort of produce something and you make something and you kind of work on it, and it's just us two, and it's like, what does this mean? And until somebody listens to it, it's still kind of abstract. Until somebody outside of you guys, it's the lightning needs to ground out. It needs to hit the ground for it to kind of be real. And so for each of those people, and it probably is each, but that's amazing. An enormous thank you to them for all the support and taking the time to come with. And like I say, the first show which we played way back, it's a few months ago now, everybody in that crowd was amazing and incredibly supportive. And so
well, that tells you guys, see, about your music, and you wouldn't have that type of reaction, because believe me, Doc's played in a lot of venues, and good and bad as far as reaction wise from the audience. So you've said it multiple times tonight, Matt, about the people that are listening to your music just freaking love it. And that just should tell you guys something. All right. You guys have something that's good. You have something that people want to listen to because there's too much shit out there. You know, it just is. It's mainstream shit. And so you should really, guys, think about that because, and pat yourselves on the back. And I know why it's hard for you because you're too humble. You don't like doctor, I have a problem with compliments. I can give them night and day, every day, 24/7, but to receive them, it makes me feel weird. It does.
Sure.
And
we put the same.
You know, and I could tell that. And we talked, I think, when we first talked about that, you know, it's hard, but we want it. We want to hear it, but it's hard for us to accept when it's face to face or directly to us. If it's written or published, then that's cool. We accept it and we go on, but somebody come up to my face and say it, or on the phone or whatever, I have a hard time. I'm humble about it and I appreciate it a lot, but it's hard. It's hard for the doc. So,
of course.
And listen, guys out there, again, Nox Pulso is a phenomenal band. It's like a diamond in the rough. For two guys to produce such phenomenal music, guys, it would be a shame to the music world for you guys not to check them out and go listen to them. They're phenomenal. Believe me, they are phenomenal. And Doc doesn't say this about everybody that much. Okay, these guys are so phenomenal. And the doctor wants to thank Matt and Duncan from Nox Pulso for joining him today. It's been a great interview. We've talked a lot about things that I really wanted my bands to talk about when I interview them. And I think you guys have given a lot to the audience, listeners, and to the new bands that are starting out or struggling. You give them a lot of insight on really how to be a great band and how to be a great musician and how to get along with each other and to love each other like brothers. You guys are just star examples of musicians and what a band should actually be like inside. So the doctor again wants to thank you guys so much for being on his show with him. I definitely had a great time. I hope you guys did as well.
Amazing. You're a true hero. Thank you. You're a sweetheart.
Huge, man. Huge.
But you know what, you guys, it's like I said, my pleasure. From our first conversation till the end of this, it's just been a pleasure for me to talk with you guys. And again, remember, Doc's there for you. Doc will always be there
stay
for
in touch. Be cool to hang out again.
Oh, we will.
We're gonna take advantage of that, Doc. We're gonna be messaging you.
You do that. You do that. No, you do that.
Wake up, Doc.
It's 2 a.m. What the hell? But the doctor wants to thank again Matt and Duncan with Nox Pulso for joining him. I also want to put out a big shout out to Dog Bone Studio, Radio, Magpie Sally, Matt R, which is the doctor's guru tech, keep me on the air. The doctor will see you guys next Friday. And in the meantime, guys, be kind to one another. Doc's out. Nox Pulso's out. You guys take care of yourselves. Later.
Bands, the good, bad, and the ugly with Dr. Dawg. On MM, the show where we get real about the ups and downs of band life.
To infinity and tastiness with MM Radio.